So without further ado, let's go on and bring on our first guest. All right, Eddie, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Michael.
All right, my pleasure. Eddie, give us a little background on yourself, and then let's, if we can, move into the topics you bring to the table for an exchange, Bitcoin, and technical analysis.
Sure. My name is Eddie Tofpik, as you've been kind enough to introduce. I'm head of foreign exchange for ADM Investor Service International. I'm in the London office, which is a 24-hour office covering foreign exchange, futures, options, stocks, commodities, bonds, etc. I've been here running this operation now for 26 years. It's been a pleasure to do so, and I'm heavily involved in technical analysis of the markets, not only those markets, but also some of the other commodity markets as well.
What are you noticing out there in the foreign exchange markets that has to do with recent movements?
I'd say there's two main areas. I mean, we've got primarily a sideways movement to a little weaker in the dollar. It's come down to some support areas at the moment. If you take, for example, its major counterparty, the euro, we've seen a big move up in the euro the last week or so, but now it's sort of tempered a little bit and staying where it is at the moment. The ones that's been interesting is things such as the Aussie dollar, which continues to weaken against the U.S. It's reached one of its technical targets, which is around about 75.5, yet it continues to weaken within a channel line, if you like, between support and resistance, which is gradually decreasing each day. With Brexit, the move out of the UK outside the European Union, we're still going sideways. We're getting whipsawed backwards and forwards as good and bad news comes out about that. And in other markets, interestingly, the yen is getting stronger against the dollar, and that actually is not necessarily very helpful for the Japanese, and not necessarily helpful for the strong dollar policy as such. The really, really interesting news over the last few days has been the announcement by two U.S. exchanges, the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and the CFE, the Chicago Futures Exchange, which is a division of the CBOE in Chicago, to issue futures contracts on Bitcoin. They're different in both ways. The CME one is for 5 Bitcoin, the CFE is for 1, and their settlement prices are different. So there are interesting arbitrage opportunities and interesting opportunities overall in Bitcoin, where you are now able to look at a contract and be traded it on a major international exchange, which is recognized. This opens up the market to investors such as pension funds, mutual funds, life insurance companies, people who would normally not be able to do this directly, to go through a futures contract, which is a legitimate market in which they can do business in.
Well,
it also...
Let me jump in there. You being at ADM would know what's happening on that level, with the pension funds, the endowments, and things of that nature. Is it well received, these new Bitcoin contracts?
At the moment, we're still going through the process, but the announcement caused a surge in the price of Bitcoin purely because of that the ability that new investors will be able to come into that specific thing. Now, you have others on the back of that as well. You've got the second largest, which is at the moment Ethereum, which is around about 20% of the size of Bitcoin at the moment. They've also benefited because there's opportunity maybe at some point for them to be listed on there as well. But the contract we've had new all-time highs yesterday and today. And the great thing is this allows the opportunity, should you choose not to believe in Bitcoin, to go short of the market through the futures exchange and to do it on margin. You don't have to put up the full amount. There's no delivery of it. It's settled against a cash settled in US dollars. So, and the risk is you're not going to get the money stolen as such, because it's not held within an exchange which can be subject to an attack. It's the biggest, the CME is the biggest exchange in the world, and so they have an opportunity for people to actually get involved.
Let me ask you some questions here, because
sure.
On your technical analysis, are you seeing? Because let me ask it differently. We're seeing rumblings that these countries are starting to come out with having their Federal Reserves bring their own cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin to bear. Do you see that that's going to have any kind of a major impact on what they're doing with the futures?
Well, I think it was the CEO of Citibank who put forward the idea that you may see countries issue their own coin. Right. And I think that's only positive for this environment, because that will actually help the market, the acceptance of cryptocurrencies within the general economic community. I mean, you can buy. I've been told you can buy a Lamborghini with Bitcoin because they'll accept it, but then you can also in London buy a cup of coffee with it. So if there are currencies which are, for example, like a bit pound or a bit dollar
Right.
or a bit euro, if they have the sponsorship of the relevant central bank, then that's a step forward in a direction going into the future, effectively.
How do you like trading? Have you been trading it yourself?
No, sir. I am a broker in it. I don't wish to participate in something which I want to give a dispassionate and neutral opinion about. If I want to talk about this properly, there's going to be times I'm going to say this thing is going down. At the moment it's going up, but there's going to be times I could turn around and say this thing is going down. And if I actually trade it for myself, then it may actually be just talking my own book rather than giving the best I can for the people who are customers of ADM ISI.
I understand that point. What about, are there limits, and what are they, if there are?
There are some price limits within the CME
Right.
and CFE to allow it. I think it's something like a 20% daily movement.
Okay.
The talk is that the margin on those will be around about 25% of the underlying value. Mm-hmm. So you're talking really 1.5 Bitcoin for the CME and a quarter of a Bitcoin value for the CFE. And that then allows you to participate, and you, because they have fixed trading limits, you'll be subject to opportunities within what's going in the underlying and also in the futures market. It'll be much like the S&P index is for the stock market. It may move it sometimes, but sometimes it's moved by the market as well.
Got it. All right, we're about out of time. We got about a minute and a half. Anything special on the horizon that your analysis is showing that we need to pay attention to?
I do like the Australian dollar, in the sense of I think it's going to go further weaker at the moment because it's within this channel line. This time next week, South Africa will be announcing, or the Moody's and S&P's will be announcing the ratings for South Africa, and they're widely expected to be downgraded. And though we've seen a little bit of strength in the South African rand, it's something to watch out for further weakness in that. And I'd say that and probably weakness in the dollar against the yen, for the stronger yen at the moment.
Do you overall on the dollar, do you still see continued downside on this, or do you think we may start to see strengthening in the dollar relative to what's happening here in the U.S. with our administration and our economy?
I think it's 2-3 steps up, 1 step down, and we're just at the moment at 1 step down.
Okay.
So the last few movements have been weaker in the dollar, but that's to be expected.
All right. Eddie, how would somebody reach out to you if they wanted to know more about your field of expertise and gain guidance and knowledge for what you do?
Well, I'm available by email on eddie.tofpik, Tofpik, @admisi.com. The website, admisi.com, which is our ADM Investor Services International website, that's available there. You can find me on that. You can find me on LinkedIn, and you can call me via just searching for my name on the internet, the number in London. And I'm always available. The desk is 24 hours from Sunday night through to Friday night. If I'm not there, one of my team will be able to pick up and get hold of me for you.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show, Eddie. Thank you so much.
You're very kind. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome. Eddie Tofpik, ADM Investor Services International Limited. All right, we're going to take a break right now and go to the Private Equity Spotlight with Ed Baxter, Bison Creek Capital. On the other side of this break, you've been listening to CEO Money with Michael Yorba, and this segment brought to you by Infuse, our new friend. We'll be right back.